With Bitcoin flashing mega signal after mega signal right now on the daily, weekly, and monthly time frames, are the baby bulls waking from their slumber? With over 4 months of sideways, dumpy price action, are the Moon Boys about to do something big? Potentially even very big. Bitcoin is right now on the verge of potentially the biggest bust that we've quite literally ever seen. So if you understand, sometimes you get dumped on, but also sometimes you get pumped on. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, get signed up to BINGX below if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins. Without any further ado, let's absolutely dump on in, where Bitcoin finally seems to be actually making potentially some sort of move. But is it way too early to get extremely excited, or is it in fact just the right spot? Right now, obviously, Bitcoin is above 60,000 US dollars, and I made a video about a week ago saying basically I'm not even going to look at this for more than a couple seconds until we get above the 21-day moving average, which we did just 2 days ago. Basically getting right above 60,000 US dollars was getting back above the 21-day moving average. You see that here. Most likely we're going to come into resistance right here around 64,000, right where the 50-day moving average is. Okay, usually these moving averages are very significant. We got a rejection, remember, back on July 1st, right at the 21-day, and that led to a much bigger dump. That led to basically the biggest dump we've seen in the last 4 months, actually. It was about a 4-day dump, and you can see the 4th day we had this very big giga wick, which actually was a very good signal. Actually was just a very promising, very bullish signal, and then you can see here a couple days later, we actually got another wick, a slightly higher low here on July 8th, going only about 54,400. The day prior to that, it was about 53,500. And now over the last few days, we've had a little bit of an upswing. Now keep in mind, we did have a failed assassination attempt against President Trump, who also has been coming out this year as pretty pro-Bitcoin, which, you know, he changed his stance. Which again, I just want to say that people like to point out that he used to say negative things about Bitcoin like 4 years ago. Guys, so did Larry Fink, right? Larry Fink was very anti-Bitcoin a couple years ago. And literally just today, he's continuing to do what he's been doing for a while now, but now he's saying about how pro-Bitcoin he is. And even in this clip, in this literal clip right here, he's saying, he makes the comment about how he even said he used to be like anti-Bitcoin. He did some research and now he likes it. So basically the point I want to make there is that if people say negative things about Bitcoin in the past, that doesn't mean they can't change their opinion and like Bitcoin. I'm not saying that Trump loves Bitcoin. All I'm saying is, yes, Trump, as well as basically every other politician on the planet, and honestly most humans at some point said something negative about Bitcoin. That doesn't mean that people can't change their opinions in the future, is literally the only point I'm trying to make with that. Anyway, we take a look again. Obviously, this daily chart doesn't look bad. We look at Bitcoin's Bollinger Bands here. We did start to see some expansion, but very clearly we've actually swung completely to the other side up here on the Bollinger Bands. And potentially we're about to see a big breakout. Again, was this potentially just a massive fake out, a big bear trap before going up? It's potentially, it's possible. Now, with all this being said, I personally don't think that we're quite at the point yet where we're about to see the biggest breakout of all time. I think things are lining up. I think this is still a massive opportunity. I think this market is it's going to be extremely bullish as we head into Q4 of this year and especially 2025. But ultimately, either way, this is exactly kind of what I'm looking for. A very similar setup to this over the next 6 months. I'm massively bullish. And if we still consolidate sideways and maybe even have some dumps and some mini pumps in the meantime, again, I don't care that much. It's so boring. It's not even worth. That's why I can't make a video every day right now, because there's just simply not enough happening. I don't know how people are making videos every day right now. I assume they're saying nothing. In fact, there's quite literally nothing to be said every single day if you post a video every day. The stock market as well, though, looks pretty good. Daily chart continuing to put in higher highs on the daily, weekly as well. New weekly all-time highs, new daily all-time highs. We look at Bitcoin here. Very clearly you can see on the daily chart, bullish. You can see actually as well, if we look at the MACD on the daily, we've actually swung into a potential uptrend for the very first time since back in May. So a little over 2 months since we've had this daily potential uptrend swing. Most importantly, however, we can see the weekly chart for Bitcoin MACD as well as having a potential reversal on the MACD also. And this has not been, we basically started getting these dumpy signals all the way back at the beginning of March. So about 4 months ago that we were either going to see some sideways or some dumping. For the most part, I mean, yes, this last couple of weeks, there was the biggest dumps of the last 4 months. But before that, it was mainly just sideways ranging. And then we had the dump, which I think was that shakeout dump. Could we go lower still? Sure, I guess. But a lot of signs right now are showing that even in the short term, we actually could start to see momentum pick up to the upside now for the first time. Where short term has been so bearish, these last few weeks, and even the last like 2 months, the short term has been pretty bearish. We're seeing signs now finally on the short term that actually there's some bullish signs on even the short term. So yeah, let's take a look actually at a few tweets. We see that Bitcoin has officially broken past the 200 DMA, with the Mayer multiple forming a bottom just under the 1 and increasing. Bullish for Bitcoin. Next stop is around 64, which is 64,000, which is the short-term holder cost basis. As I said, however, that is also right where the 50-day moving average is. So we need to be, maybe we'll get a rejection there. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a pushback around that level. But ultimately, again, if we break this level, I think it's clear skies for Bitcoin to actually have a nice move that we haven't seen in, quite honestly, months. Now, I mentioned this clip a few minutes ago. It's hard to overstate, Eric says, the Bloomberg ETF analyst, says it's hard to overstate how big of a deal it is for Larry, who runs over a $10 trillion asset management company, giving just massive endorsements of Bitcoin still. It's just crazy to me that people are really betting against this. Literally the most mainstream, if you think of a guy in a suit who takes Wall Street, is a Wall Street guy, this is literally the guy they listen to. And you're saying, a couple of years ago, this was unheard of. So it's still crazy to me that people don't fully understand kind of where we're at in terms of what's happening, the major shift happening in this market. We also see that this chart here, look at this monthly candle, right? We zoom into this. Look at that monthly candle. Looks big to me. Looks like a potential bottom candle. Potential reversal, so where we can start seeing some massive short, midterm, and especially long-term upside. Bitcoin crossed above the 200 DMA. Last time I did this, Bitcoin surged almost 200%, and this is on Bitcoin Archive. Potentially, again, I think there's a lot of signs showing a short-term pump is likely here. But also we see Bitcoin ETFs breaking all-time highs for total inflows with over 16 billion in just the last 6 months since launching in January. So the flows are continuing to grow. Larry is still on CNBC pumping Bitcoin. I don't know. I can't think of a much more bullish environment for crypto. And guys, just like I've been saying, all of this bullish environment while Bitcoin is just coming out of a dump. After coming out of a multi-month sideways followed by a multi-week dump episode, to me this is so bullish. Now, I've said this before, and I've said this actually quite a million times. I said it back a lot in 2021 and late 2020. Basically, even if, let's say we were in a bull market, like the 2021 bull market, where we had just had a massive pump to the upside for, let's say, 6 months or something, Bitcoin exploded, but let's say we also had altcoin season, which right now we have not had yet. One simple way to look at this, we go to the Bitcoin dominance chart. Absolutely no sign of an altcoin season anywhere since all the way back in 2022 or even 2021. So no altcoin season has been found whatsoever. Bitcoin has been dominating this entire price action relative to altcoins, or vice versa. Let's say we had all that happen and things just look really good. Those are the moments where you should probably be thinking about taking profit after coming off like 6 months of going up, after having a massive altcoin season where Bitcoin pumped a lot and then it dumped, but altcoins then went up and everything's at new all-time highs. That's when you want to take profit. When Bitcoin has just barely broken all-time highs and is cementing it for support, altcoins have not had an alt season. The halving is still rather recent, just only happened a few months ago, which historically is not even, we haven't even seen the pump yet, according to history. This is like the silliest time to get very bearish on the market. Yet, because of just a couple of months of sideways trading, so many people got so bearish on this market. I think this is maximum opportunity. Whether it happens tomorrow, next week, or, a month from now, I think it's coming, and it's coming big time. So, pretty much in the short term, everyone, if you watch these videos, more than one or two of them, I'm extremely bullish. In the short term, though, what's really important is getting above the 50-day moving average around 64,000. That's going to be very big. And also on the weekly chart for Bitcoin, the 21 week sits right at about 65. So pretty much the next couple $1,000s is make or break. Like if we can get back above some of these levels, this can get giga bullish. Okay, Bitcoin doesn't need that much more of a pump before things actually in the very short term can get extremely bullish. And get set up to FEMX below if you want to Bitcoin or altcoins. Without further ado,